So yes, for us, I'd been seeing your ads on YouTube for a while, and Valentine's Day was coming up.
Mm,
So I just sent the ad to him and I said, I would love this for Valentine's Day.
nice.
And guys don't take hints well, but directness is very helpful.
I was gonna say that was, a very direct, hey, I would very much like this for Valentine's Day versus, hey, I saw this ad, you should watch it, which is
Right,
one step away. But because I see that a lot in the comments, like women will tag, oh, or they'll say, oh, I wish my husband would get this, hint, hint,
right.
and there's no direct communication, or not, it's missing that bump. So
Yes. Yes, that's
uh,
something different with women and men. Men definitely need clear direction on what do you want? I want to make you happy, but what do you want?
mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how it happened for us. That's where our journey started. And I wish I could, maybe I'll send you a clip sometime, but just us dancing in the living room, the dog barking at us as we're going, and and my smile from ear to ear.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I don't know, what is it about dancing, do you think, that brings so much pleasure and joy?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sure you guys got to this part where I talk about the dance effect. That's what I
Mm,
call that, that smile, just I don't know, women have described it to me in multiple ways. And I think, it affects men a little bit too, but it definitely seems to impact women more, where, you spin and dip her and you come back up and she's just like glowing,
wow.
smiling from ear to ear and just glowing from her heart. Sometimes you can see it. And I don't know. Like it doesn't make sense to me because like if it was reversed and I was getting dipped, I'd be like, oh, it's cool, but it just wouldn't have the same impact. But as a guy, certainly I like being able to lead that and seeing how happy she is. And I don't know. I've heard some women have said they feel more feminine, they feel lighter, they feel joy, they feel happy, like kind of some kind of combination of all that when they're dancing. As to why, I don't know, but I just know that seems to be pretty consistent. What are your thoughts?
Well, and I was just thinking that could there be a relationship also to letting the man lead when so much of the time, especially in our society today, women want to try to be in control, girl boss, and all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's kind of freeing to just let go and let him. I don't know if that could be an element.
I'm sure it is. You know, specifically in the context of dance, there has to be a lead and a follow, or dance doesn't work. Now you can swap, the female, you could have two dudes or two girls, or the girls leading and the guys following. Like that doesn't matter. But dancing won't work if we have two leads or we have two follows. Like it just doesn't happen.
Right.
And I think for me, dancing really has helped learn how to lead better outside of the relationship. I think because it kind of shows you anything that goes wrong is my fault, not in an attack way, but it's just like, it's kind of empowering because it's like, okay, if something's going wrong and it's my fault, it's like, all right, what are we going to do to fix this or make it better or smoother? And how you approach that is kind of how you lead in terms of, well, if I start yelling or trying to correct her right now in the middle of the dance, like it's not
Yeah,
really
the fun's
good
gone.
lead. Yeah. So like
Yeah.
it's like, hey, later, if after the date or after we're done dancing for the evening, if we're out somewhere, I can bring it up in conversation. Hey, I was trying to lead this move and it looks like we went this way. Like, was that, what were you seeing? So get feedback from her and but yeah, I think dance is one of those last bastions of seeing those dynamics play out, and it's really the only one I can think of where it physically plays out. Because when we go to like the relationship side outside of dancing, you say, "Oh, lead and follow or whatever." It's like, well, I don't. What does that mean, right? That's going to mean 50 different things to 50 different couples, depending on their dynamics. But in dance, like physically leading, is a strong frame and smiling and encouraging and And same with following is trusting and holding space and letting him figure it out if they're just learning the moves, which can be scary. I don't think
Mm.
some guys may not understand, like that can be scary for a woman. At least that's what I've heard from the women I've talked to with when I did the live lessons. So yeah, I guess that touches a little on that. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I like what you're saying. And I think in regards to that part about being scary, we like to be in control. Everybody likes to be in control to a certain degree. And when you don't know what you're doing, what's happening next, that can be a little scary. And as you were talking about as the lead, being able to communicate well so I know that, okay, now we're going to spin, or now you're going to dip me, or something like that makes it a little bit easier. So yeah, communication, I think through dance is important too. And you're saying with a strong frame is part of that communication, right?
Yeah, you learn. I mean, that's something that I learned, and it took a while because your natural posture maybe when dancing is you're a little looser. And I realized, oh, the stronger frame I have, the more clear of a signal she's receiving when we're doing some of these dance moves. Now, if I get too strong and too stiff, that's like, going the wrong end. But there's a happy medium,
Right.
and I think, yeah, I think a lot of it can kind of translate over to a relationship, and any relationship. It doesn't even have to be, a marriage. It could be friendships and stuff. Leading in
Mm.
conversations, leading in work. It does add. I don't know. It's one of the few physical things that I can think of that really shows you how much little things matter when it comes to leading.
Hmm. That's really interesting. And one of the things that I learned about you is that when you first learned to dance, you just had so much fun with it that it was something, this overflow into this business was kind of a natural process for you that you didn't really, you said you do it for free. It's so much fun. So I think that's really important to enjoy what you do. And with the dancing, how did that happen? How did you get started? You just did you go to any kind of classes, or what did you do?
Yeah, I took a lot of lessons because I just kind of go deep when I get into something. I kind of go crazy. So I was dancing like 6 nights a week, a wide range. Did a little bit of salsa, West Coast swing, foxtrot. These are all like professional dances, so it's not the social swing that I teach. But yeah, I was kind of all in, and it was fun and it was hard. And like you were mentioning earlier, I understand like the counts, being on beat and all that. That just takes. I want to say it took me, I don't know, 3 to 6 months maybe to really get that part down.
Right.
So I could totally see why if that was the only way to dance and you had to do that, it's like, well, most couples, most people are not going to do. They don't have the time to do that for 6 months. So that's why I was like, well, wait a minute, like this social swing style, you don't have to do any of that, which allows you to dance to any music
Mhm.
and get my goal is just like get them the dance effect as fast as possible because then you get the buy-in and then the couples either just master the date night dancing moves or they graduate and go get professional lessons after the fact, whatever they want. But yeah, I started when I moved out in Colorado in 2013, and I had no musical background. I still don't, I don't know music theory or anything like that. I was, a fitness trainer online before this. So I was like, well, if I can, and I'm not the sharpest crown in the box. So if I could figure it out, I'm like, oh, anybody could do this.
Right. Yeah, it's true. You say that in less than 60 minutes, you can, you're not trying to make anybody a professional dancer, but in less than 50, 60 minutes, you can be dancing with your partner. And I love you also talk about how it helps couples feel closer and more connected compared to, the usual Netflix and chill, right? Just sitting there watching something, actually being active and engaged is, you're making memories. And that's so important, I think, in a relationship to be able to have these fun things to think back on because life is hard sometimes. And if
Mm-hmm.
you just live in the daily grind all the time and you're not making intentional time to do those fun things, to connect and be friends and laugh together, then it's hard. But
It
you're
is.
giving couples an awesome way to build a bridge. Dancing builds that relational bridge. Have you ever thought of that?
No. On the when you guys did it, would you say that was about 60 minutes or less that you got the infinity loop down and kind of turned the corner or at least saw like, hey, this is achievable or doable or what was that like?
Right. Yes. No, it came pretty quick. That first one was great. And adding in the dip, I think the cuddle dip is my favorite out of the two because we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of hugging in. Um, and to be honest with you, I don't remember what we've learned outside of that. I think how to get out of the dips and
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't had enough time like I said, we haven't finished everything yet. But even after just those first few lessons, when we got together with another couple, we're like, oh, you got to see what we've learned. And we showed them what we did.
Nice.
And so they were able to pick it up pretty quick, even with us amateurs teaching them. So it
Cool.
really works. And again, I do love the fact that it works with any music because although I like country music, we both like a wide variety and it really doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter.
Right.
And that was another thing with the two step was trying to figure out, okay, where is my beat
Mm-hmm.
in this song?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And
so yeah,
only
I don't
certain
know.
songs for two
Yeah.
step, like, they have to be a certain song.
Mhm.
Which is the same thing I came across, and I was like, well, I don't want to be limited to the type of music to be able to dance. And West Coast swing is cool because you can dance that to any music, but the challenge with that is it's very technical. And then if I'm at a wedding or I'm somewhere and I want to grab a girl to dance or grab my mom or my sister, if they don't know how to West Coast swing, then we can't dance. Whereas with social swing, as long as I know some of the moves, I can dance. Any guy can dance with any lady, irrespective of the music. So it's just much more. I don't know. It's like more leverage on my time, on
Mhm.
somebody's time, if you're going to learn it to be able to apply it to multiple situations.
Yeah. Yeah, you really do a great job of removing any barriers to make it easy for couples to connect
Hmm.
that way. Uh, have you ever had, well, I'm sure I've seen some of your reviews on your website, but what's a story that you remember that kind of stands out in your mind of what a couple has said to you about the classes?
Man, there's a lot. I've seen some of them are comments that I'll see, reviews or comments, and then some are direct emails. I've seen a couple that said to save their marriage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is interesting because, and it's like, well, I'm not going to run this as a like save your marriage program because who knows where things are
Right.
at. That's not, it's like I don't want to get into that. But it's nice to hear. And then I love seeing first dances. I've had couples send me their first dance, because they use this for their wedding, and
Mhm.
those are always fun. I've had a lot of couples prepare, like the mother and father of the bride or the groom use
Yes.
this to prepare for the wedding and kind of surprise everyone at the reception, like, oh, mom and dad are dancing, and that's been cool to see. And then one that was, I was like, man, I feel so bad for them. It's got to be awful. But they had sent me a video of them dancing, saying they had lost their child recently, and
Oh,
this
mm,
was like the first time they'd experienced joy or found some joy again.
mm.
And that was, you know, I'm glad it was helpful, but it was heavy to hear. But I was really happy to see them, sharing that moment together.
Oh, that is really awesome because, yeah, life is full of hard things, and it's nice to be able to bring some joy in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had known about you before my son's wedding. That was 2 years
Mm.
ago. So we did the usual kind of rocking back and forth kind of shuffle,
Right.
but we will be ready when my daughter gets married.
There we go.
Yes. So what
And was
about
your
your,
husband was it sounds like because you'd sent him the ad and say, hey, I would love this for Valentine's, and so he bought it. So it sounds like there wasn't much resistance on his end in terms of because a lot of guys sometimes they're like, no, I don't want to dance, it's stupid, or in their head they just don't believe they can, and so they won't entertain it. But it doesn't sound like that was the case for you.
no, thankfully. And I believe we had already tried the two-step dances
Mm,
at one of these dance studios before. So he's not opposed to dancing. I think his biggest limitation is just, achy joints and things like that.
mm-hmm.
So our dance sessions aren't all-nighters or anything like that, but we are able to do the steps and enjoy them together. And it's often a fun go-to date night activity. Just, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Pop it on, live streaming even on your phone. So no excuses.
Right.
Now, have you had any surprises about this journey so far? 10 years in now? Any?
I mean, I think the biggest surprise is just that it happened because it was not something I planned. You know, my background was on, I had a furniture company and did online marketing and did a YouTube channel. And so I would have never, if I was talking to myself 20 years ago and say, hey, you're going to have this, this brand and doing this stuff, I'm like, I wouldn't believe it.
Mhm.
But I do believe in the mission of just helping couples connect and have fun because I think that's so important. I try and stay in my lane. Like I'm not a therapist, I'm not a relationship coach, I'm not even in a relationship. Like, but I'm very good at making things fun and making people feel special. And I think those are two key ingredients for a relationship. You know, there's a lot other ones, but like if you're having fun together and you're making your partner feel special, I think those are at least two good boxes to check. And I feel, I built this program to kind of hopefully do that.
Yes. Well, you are successful, in my opinion. Getting getting couples connected and having fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because like you're saying, it's easy to default to Netflix and chill or just get into the routine. Especially I've been talking and working with couples on some new programs, but couples with young kids, like time is so kind of disappears. And what we've been seeing is like the scaffolding for date nights also doesn't exist because it didn't need to exist before the children showed up. I guess they were just able to go on dates, but now there has to be a little more intentionality and maybe getting a babysitter, and so all these logistics stack up, and it can become a lot of work to just plan a date. So that's where I was hoping, well, this is something you can just like press play and do it 30-minute increments, whatever works, and have some connection, some physical touch, love language stuff going on, that hopefully nourishes the relationship and have fun and have a new skill that you can show friends and use at weddings and concerts and wherever else you go.
Absolutely. Yes, you are so right. That is a really important factor in your program, is that it can be done after you put the kids in bed, no babysitter required, and and it's something more intentional than just watching a movie. So
Mm-hmm.
I really love that. And our kids are teenagers now, so it doesn't really matter in that regard. But I always love finding resources that people can do at home so that you don't have that excuse of, well, we don't have money to go out or pay for the
Mm-hmm.
babysitter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're creative enough, you can find a way to
Mm-hmm.
make some kind of connection. And I think that's why I recommend you.
Well,
So
thank you.
I'm glad you were able to talk with me today.
Yeah. And what do you
And,
think
mhm.
about, because you obviously work with couples and maybe specifically women in relationships. This is just an idea I've been marinating on, so I'm curious as to your thoughts. But this concept of, you know, a lot of people maybe we'll have a monthly budget, right? Groceries, dining out, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking, I was like, I think there should be like a relationship budget, where it's like, the couple would agree, let's just say whatever, $500 a month or $200 a month, but that's like guilt-free money that gets spent on relationship enriching activities or courses or date nights, whatever, but it's a category because when you look back over the year and say, oh, okay, we spent, I'm going to keep it simple. So say it was $1,000 a month. That's a lot, but just $12,000 a month or $12,000 for the year in our relationship. That's like a measurable metric of
Hmm.
investment into the relationship, independent of time. If I track my time, but I don't expect most people to do that. But I'm just trying to think of like, what are some environmental cues that people can use to help nurture their relationship that doesn't feel like as much work. And so if there is this like, hey, we spend $200 a month on us, and now we're excited maybe more to plan dates, or we're saving up that for a big trip or something. I don't know. What are your thoughts on
I
that? Could
love
be a
the
terrible
idea.
idea. I was just,
No, I love the idea. That's really great. My whole point in what I tell people about is being intentional. And it doesn't mean that it has to be some grand thing. Those little things that we do every day are they add up so much in relationships. And so, yeah, if you do a budget for your relationship, I think there's nothing wrong with that. That would be awesome to be able to, like you said, save it up for a trip or do a course or whatever else, comes up that you want to do as a couple. I think that's a wonderful idea because what's important to you is what you spend money on.
right, exactly.
And so if your relationship is important to you, I think I heard somebody talk about it this way recently. Just like any goal that you have, you're tracking it, you're making a plan for that goal. You don't just say, I want this and then just leave it at that. I want a happy marriage. Okay, what am I going to do about it now? So those steps that we take, it is they don't just happen. Great relationships
Right,
don't just happen. You
right.
have to put in the intention. And like you're saying, if you have to budget for it, that's an awesome idea. I love that. But we don't, no goals are going to get met if we never craft a plan for it.
Yeah, and it's like, I think maybe what's sometimes tricky about relationships of versus like a clear cut goal of like, oh, I want to, save $500 in the next 6 months. Like that's, you kind of can see quantifiable progress or not every day. Whereas relationships can be a little tricky because it's like, well, how do I feel about the relationship today versus yesterday? Like it's there's less concrete
Yeah.
evidence in a way, like I know this is not possible, but just working backwards, and you'll probably see like my marketer data brain, but it's like at the end of the month, if a couple got a report of like, here's how many times you kissed, here's how many nice words you said to each other, here's how many, here's how much quality time you spent. Like if you had those every month, that would give you a sense of how things are going, and so just working backwards from that of like, okay, the relationship budget was the first thing I thought of as far as something that's somewhat close to that. And to your point, like what you spend money on, like shows your time in your bank account. Where the money goes and where the calendar goes. That shows like what's really important. No matter what I
Yeah.
say in my head, if you
Yes.
look at my calendar and you look at my bank account, you'll see, okay, well, this is what Hunter's valuing.
Yeah. Hunter, that is so intuitive. I think that's great what you're saying. And yes, it is hard to, pinpoint where the relationship is, but here's a really neat tool that you can use. I'm sure you use feedback in lots of different ways, but one thing you can do, and you have to be ready for the answer. Don't ask the question unless you want to hear the answer.
Okay.
But in my case, how am I doing on a scale of 1 to 10? How am I doing as a wife? And then I need to hear him. And if it's anything less than a 10, all right, what can I do to bring that up? And just don't be defensive. Don't just thank you. Thank you. that's the one way that we can definitely kind of see where we're at on that graph, that chart. Where's our goal and how far are we to that goal?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are afraid of feedback, but it can be a really positive thing if you are humble enough to receive it and and to do it in a time of non-conflict. You're not going to do that in the
Right.
middle of like, well, how do you like how what kind of wife I am now?
Minus
Not
10. Rah! Yeah.
right. So yeah, feedback. I would say feedback would be an awesome way to chart your where you're at in your relationship. How good am I? What could I do to improve? Because nobody's perfect, and you know, tens are great, but if there's something I can do, something tangible, let me know. Like, especially as a guy, you need to know the direct. Don't just
Yeah.
do the silent treatment. Let me know.
Right. And you had mentioned earlier, about, directly letting your husband know, hey, I would love this for Valentine's Day. Do you
Right.
have any thoughts, when you talk to women that you work with, why another woman might see that ad and send it to her husband and say, hey, you should watch this? When she really wants the same thing you want, which is for him to buy it and give it to her for Valentine's Day, but she doesn't make that final step. Do you know what maybe the thought process is in there? Is it
That
like if
is,
he loves me, he'll figure out the rest? Is it that kind of? Because that feels not like a trap, but that feels not fair. Like I'm supposed to read her mind, but I don't know what she might be thinking in that scenario.
yes, that's an awesome question. And it's really about knowing your desires and being able to, it's a vulnerable thing to put it out there. Hey, I would like this for Valentine's Day. That's kind of vulnerable. He might just decide, nah, I don't want to do that. And that could feel like rejection. Uh, a lot of times you're talking about a woman sending the video and, hey, watch this. Yeah, that happens a lot. Marriage books, underlining this and this and this, and put it in a place where he's going to notice it.
Right.
So he can, but it's all about really the best relationships are ones where we take personal responsibility because the only one I have control over is myself. And I am responsible for my own happiness. So if I would like my husband to do a certain thing, I need to communicate that to him. And here's the big part, release expectations. He might have chosen not to do that. I have no control over him, but I can at least let him know this is something that would make me happy. This is something that would please me. This is right. So I think that's the big thing. We too much, especially women, want to try to control the relationship. I don't know how many people would come in and say something like, well, if he would do this and this and this, then our relationship would be better. Well, if you're hanging it on that, then that's the wrong expectations because you cannot change him and he cannot change you. So personal responsibility, personal accountability, clear communication, like we're talking about, being direct. Because yes, women like to be a little more subtle. We would love you to read our minds, but reality, it doesn't work that way. So you're going to just be frustrated over and over again if you just give these little hints, these little clues, you leave something out.
Right.
Yeah, you just got to be vulnerable, express your desires, and leave the expectations, alone.
Yeah. So it's possible then, because like I said, I see this, on the Facebook ads comments, not all the time, but sometimes where I'll say, a woman is hinting to her
Mhm.
husband that she would like this, but she's not saying, I would love you, I would love to dance with you, or I'd love for you to
Yes.
try this with me.
Yes.
And the one reason she might be doing that is because she doesn't want to be rejected, is what I'm hearing. Like
Yes.
she's
Yeah.
sharing a desire, and he might say, "Ah, dance is dumb. I don't want to do this." And she's like afraid of that. So if she hints, she feels
Right.
maybe like she's sharing the desire, but she also can't be rejected because she didn't like make a direct ask.
That's the way I see it. Yes. Yes. And you had me thinking about something else in regards to, the approach. Okay. So would you rather have a woman tell you, you never spend any time with me? Or would this be a better approach? I really miss you. which one's going to get that positive response, you
Yeah,
know?
the second one for sure, because the first one, is going to trigger a little. It feels a little bit like an attack, so I'm gonna like
Yeah.
maybe be a little on guard and be like, okay, why don't I? What do you mean I never spend time with you? I would go right to, well, I track my time. Here's, we spent 10 hours
Yeah.
this week, like, but it would start a kind of confrontational path versus the other one is like, hey, I miss spending more time with you. That's I feel softer in
Mhm.
in that approach.
Yeah, definitely. So approach is so important and having the right perspective. I think we need to have the approach of giving the spouse the benefit of the doubt.
Mm,
Our brains default to the negative.
mm-hmm,
And so it's easy. Anybody can spot what's wrong in this picture,
mm-hmm,
but it takes some skill, and you can do it. It takes some skill to start finding the good things and believing the best. And when you do that, you're actually going to get better results from your spouse
mm,
if you're acknowledging, hey, I appreciate you did that. Thank you so much. That helped me a lot.
mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, what else can I do for you? You know, because who knows?
Yeah, I like I think this guy I follow, Hormozy, says I like this idea of rounding up, where it's like
Mm,
if a partner says something that I could take one of two ways, just always round up and assume the positive way, even if it may
mm,
not have been. Just it's better for the relationship if we just if round up, and like you're saying, it is a skill, which means it can be developed and strengthened,
mm.
and it may not come naturally right away, but that's something I can like build on.
Right, right. Just like learning those dance moves.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to take the time and the effort. I can't just watch it and not do it. I have to actually stand up and move my body.
Mm-hmm.
So, if there any other thoughts you had in regards to either relationship or dance that you wanted to share, or maybe you could share about some of the projects you've got going on. You mentioned some new stuff.
Yeah, I think wanted to talk about maybe some different ways that a woman might be able to invite her husband or
Okay.
boyfriend to dance with them. Because I'm assuming, a lot of women like to dance and want to dance, and, a lot of men don't, at least in their head. And that's why I made this program for us to bridge that gap. And I think for maybe what some women might not understand, especially if their partner, again, is resistant or doesn't want to, at least out of the gate, is when she asks him, "Hey, why won't let's dance at this wedding, or why won't you dance with me?" As a guy, if I don't know how to dance, I I don't want to fail and look bad and make her look bad, So basically, the question I'm not hearing is, "Do you want to dance with me?" The question I'm hearing is, "Do you want to fail in front of a lot of people, let's say if we're at a wedding?" And so my answer to that is like, no, I don't. And
Right,
and and I could see how maybe some women would be, oh, he doesn't love me because he doesn't want to dance and he doesn't understand how happy this would make me. And
right,
that's true, but that's not what he's hearing. What he's hearing is like, do this thing that you don't know how to do and do it in front of all these people, and it's could go bad. So that's like the fear.
hmm,
You're talking about vulnerability for women. This is kind of the vulnerability for men, is like having the courage to, okay, let me try this, let me develop this skill so that we can experience the dance effect and have that connection, have that fun. And so
hmm,
it's like, okay, why wouldn't he do that? Well, it's a series of beliefs, and it could be a bunch of different ones, but it's like, I don't know how to dance.
hmm.
You're born with it or not. I have two left
Right.
feet, or I have no rhythm. And so in like with this program, or even if you go to a studio or whatever, but it's like, hey, a softball question, instead of saying, hey, can we try dancing together, which that is direct and that's a good question. But again, if he's resistant to it, we could try a smaller question, which is like, hey, can we try practicing a couple moves tonight, or can we try practicing one move? Because now it's a little more concrete. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, let's like learn this one move. Because dance, what does that mean? How many moves? Like, what? There's no boundaries. So if it's like, hey, can we try to learn this the infinity loop tonight, or can we try the cuddle dip as a first step?
Yeah.
And if he says, okay, sure, and we try it, then the second half is holding space and like letting him figure it out together versus trying to back lead, which sometimes happen if she knows how to dance and he doesn't.
Mm.
But like cheering him on so
Yes.
that he's like, oh, she's encouraging me, like, okay, it's going slower than I thought, but I'm figuring this out. Because once he turns that corner,
Right.
at least what I've seen with the program, once they see the dance effect trigger in their wife, like they are like, oh, this makes her really happy and I can do this. So, okay, I'm on board, and that's
Yeah.
just what we're trying to get them to.
Hmm. Well, I think you almost really answered your own question there. I love the idea of those baby steps. Maybe do, we're not going to learn how to dance everything tonight, but let's try this one thing. This looks like a lot of fun. And I would really enjoy having your hands on me, What man
Yeah.
doesn't want to hear
Ooh,
that?
yeah, gosh, yeah. If yeah, totally, totally. I mean, and so these are all just like different ways to, and I use the word invite intentionally because I think if you think of it as an invitation, it might, you might come up with some of those questions versus trying to get him to dance with me because that sounds a little more like you were saying before, where it's like trying to control,
Mhm.
get him to dance with me. Say, let me invite him to dance with me. Hey, let's learn a move, and you put your hands all over me. Like that's, a lot of guys
Yeah.
are not going to turn down that invitation, So, and then everybody gets what they want. They're dancing and having fun and seeing that connection, and
Mhm.
so,
Yeah. Yeah. And definitely after the dance, lots of praise, lots of, appreciation. Oh, that was so fun. Thank you so much. I enjoy myself. The reinforcement. He did that little step and just pour it on. That was great. I really appreciated that because I think guys especially affirmation and appreciation big time. It's really important for the male ego, and
yeah.
that's just the way you're wired, and that's fine. But I think another thing that you made me think of is I remember when my kids were younger and there was ballroom dance classes being offered, and we couldn't get our son to do any of that. One of his friends did it, and he got to touch girls. you know, Something that most teenagers, want to do, teenage boys want to do. And we were trying to explain to our son, this is a great opportunity. You actually get to touch a girl and in a proper way,
Right, right.
but anyway, so yeah, I think that men still like to touch girls. And I don't know if that was a motivation for you learning to dance and bringing so much fun and pleasure to the girls you dance with. But yeah, I
Oh
think that
yeah. I mean, just being able to interact, because not only touching, but you're also having a conversation. So you get to talk and socialize, and especially now, where we're a little more maybe disconnected. It's a way that physically forces connection, and again, for husband and wife or boyfriend girlfriend, it's that's why it's again, it doesn't have to replace all Netflix and chill nights, but it's a good rotation so that it's like, hey, we've got 4 weeks in a month. If we do one home date night a week, one of them or two of them can be date night dancing, so there's physical connection and dance effect, and the other two can still be Netflix and chill or question connection cards or whatever, but it just adds some variety.
yeah, yeah. And I think I noticed on your app that you're actually offering more date night ideas. Is that true? Did I see something on your app about more date adventures?
Yeah, I'm working on that. It is a process just trying to find a balance of what couples want, what they'll do, what feels good and useful. Something I found that couples at least have reported to me that they've enjoyed is connection questions. So I have a weekly newsletter called The
Hmm.
Spark, that I send out every Thursday that I put in 3 connection questions, thoughtful ideas. The whole premise is like, what are low effort little things that, couples can do, or partners can do in their relationship to just, add a little spark. It's not a huge thing. I'm trying to keep everything small and realistic that can just stack little
Yeah.
wins.
Hmm.
And
Oh, I love the questions. Yes.
yeah, and I think this is something again I'm still like fleshing out, but I've been working with couples, again, working backwards from like a quantifiable metrics. So we had the relationship budget, that's like one thing. The other is like date nights.
Hmm.
Because if we just take two couples, we look
Hmm.
back to the last 12 months, one couple went on one date, the other couple had 20 dates. It's not a guarantee that the 20 date couple is going to be in a better relationship, but it's at least suggestive that they will be closer, right? If we're going on these dates. And so it's like, okay, why aren't couples dating or why aren't they going on dates? And there's a lot of reasons. But what I've kind of come to is it takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to plan dates. Like I've planned dates for couples, and it's taken me, an hour to 2 hours to research and find things. And so I don't know. I have these categories that it's gotten good feedback, but I still think it needs to be fleshed out. But basically, we have gold dates and silver dates. And a gold date is planned, so that means it's on the calendar. It's outside of
Hmm.
the house, and it is a relationship enriching activity, which the couple themselves, they can decide what that is for them. That could be going out to dinner, it could be a comedy show, a dance class, whatever. But that's a gold date. A silver date is planned, so that means it's
Hmm.
also on the calendar. Relationship enriching, but it's at home. And
Hmm.
shooting right now, I've got couples shooting for one gold date a month, and then figuring out whether it's 1 to 2 silvers or 4 silvers, like whatever works with their schedule. And these again are couples with like kids 10 and under, so like time is super scarce. But it just gives just the metric. And then diamond dates, they're special. They're like weekend getaways, hotels, whatever. Maybe that's once a quarter, once a year, again, depending on budget and time. But if we look back at the end of the year and it's like, oh, we've had 12 gold dates and 20 silver dates, and it'll be self-correcting in the sense that the couple will be able to determine, hey, we are feeling best about our relationship when we've done for a quarter, let's say, 10 silver dates and 3 gold dates. We just start having a shared language and knowing as a team, oh, okay, we need a gold star date, or we need 2 gold star dates a month. I'm not saying how many each couple, they can decide that, but it's just now we have this
Yeah.
common language. So
Wow. Yeah, I think that's really awesome. You're speaking from that logical male
yeah.
perspective and being able to, like you were saying, quantify it and track it and see how we're doing. And I think that would really speak well into the male brain for sure to be able to track these things. And I love the date ideas. In fact, that's one thing that my husband and I do. We try to find things so that outside of the box, not
Hmm.
just dinner and a movie. That's so routine, and that's you're not really learning things about each other when you're doing stuff like that. And I am the queen of questions.
Yes.
I've always got something. I'm finding more resources all the time. We had a book called, I think that was called 2000 Questions About Me. Five Below sold it some time ago, but I changed it to 2000 Questions About Us. And
Nice.
whenever we'd go on a road trip, I'd bring that along, and I'd put, initial by my name and, my answer, and ask him and write his answer. And it was so fun because it really got you beyond the surface level. How was
Right.
your day? Fine,
Right.
into
The
those
routine
deeper things.
conversations.
Yeah, whether it
Yes.
was childhood memories, or just, your favorite superhero, or, just all kinds of oddball things. But curiosity, I once heard, is the side door to empathy.
Mm.
So curiosity is really important part of any relationship to build and strengthen a relationship.
Totally, and I think like that question book sounds awesome, and it's similar to the questions I put in the Spark probably, and connection cards you can get off Amazon. But I think that's such a key. I think of it. It's an environmental hack or design to foster intimacy and connection, because instead of you or me or somebody, I'm on a car ride with my partner and now I have to like think in my head, okay, what's a question I haven't asked her, and like try to come up, let's just say that costs 100 units of brain energy, and obviously I don't have a ton, so it's like now I don't
Right.
have much left to discuss, versus if we have these questions already made for us, no effort is being spent thinking on a question. That same 100 units can now be focused on the actual conversation because we're being given the questions, and so those, I just think thinking of stuff like that versus how do I come up with more questions, it's easier to just be, well, let me, get connection cards.
Yeah, and I will tell you one caveat on that. I have to limit myself to how many questions I ask him
Right.
because he will get overwhelmed. I
Sure.
might, I'll do a page at a time, and then maybe we'll listen to some music or we'll play a podcast. I can't just, it's not questions the whole trip long.
Sure. Sure.
I wouldn't mind that, but that's too much for him. So,
Okay.
yeah, balance. Got to have balance. Yeah. So, any other thoughts before we end our time?
No, I think that kind of covers it. I don't know if you had any other questions or thoughts on your end, as far as dancing, or how dancing together has, added maybe some connection for you guys, and for couples who don't dance together but are like maybe considering it, what you've learned from that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I definitely think it's brought a lot of fun and laughter, and laughter is so important. You have to be able to laugh at yourselves, and so yeah, that's been a benefit for us. We've had a pretty good marriage all along. We've 28 years for us.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
And yeah, thank you. And so we're intentional. Like I said, we know that a good marriage isn't just going to happen. And of course, you may have heard the phrase, the grass is greener where you water it. So we always look for resources to make our marriages, our marriage better, more connected, have more fun. So I think anybody who, even if they don't think they can dance, and I've got a little rhythm, I do, but like I said earlier, having to count steps or think on that way, it took kind of the fun out for me. But using your system, I don't have to think about anything but just following along where he's going and enjoying the music. So I just love the program for all of those reasons.
Awesome. And do you have any thoughts, maybe with the women you've coached, or how they can practice, or what it's like practicing vulnerability of holding space and letting him figure it out, and maybe why is that scary? Because part of me is like, hey, it's like you're married, this is your husband, so what is? I know that this might not have been the case for you, but for some women, they're, I don't know, scared or something while he figures it out. Like, what? Any insights into those dynamics?
I think mainly it is that control factor. And we just need to learn to relinquish control, let go, and like you said, let him figure it out. If we want to have fun, anytime we're trying to tell him how to do it or he's not doing it right, that's going to wreck the intimacy. And we don't want to do that. And I was thinking another thing, sort of related to what you're talking about, but in our digital generation, where people don't know how to connect very well, whether it be asking questions or doing something outside of the screens. I think that this is a perfect venue that you have here because people who may be afraid to go out and dance, at a nightclub or something,
Right.
they can do it in the privacy of their own home, and they don't have to worry about anybody watching them if they messed up or anything like that. So it's a very safe place to give it a try and have a little fun. And so you're combating that disconnection of our digital age by using the digital age
Right.
or, to benefit. I think that's awesome.
Sweet.
So yeah, I don't know if I have anything else. I think you've covered everything that I'd hoped to. I just really wanted to highlight how awesome your program is and
No,
how
thank
much
you.
I can't recommend it enough. I'd love, for everybody that listens to me to go check you guys out on Show Her Off, right? Showerofdance.com, or how do they find you?
Yeah, shoreoff.com. You can go there, and the program's called Date Night Dancing, and grab that, and it's you'll get a login once you order, and there's apps on the iPhone, Android, as well as Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick. You can stream it on the computer. You can cast it from your phone to the TV. A lot of different ways to be able to watch it and go at your own pace and connect and have fun and get that dance effect going.
Excellent. Well, I know I'm going to sign up for the Spark newsletter. I didn't know you had that. How do you do that? Is that on the website as well?
Yes, that's shoreoff.com/the spark. So you
Okay.
can just go there and drop your email, and that goes every Thursday. And oh, it looks like, yeah, it's the hyphen spark. Sorry, shoreoff.com, the hyphen spark. And yeah, send that out every Thursday. Connection questions, date ideas, thoughtful text, something that I'm trying to unpack too is, I'd be curious to your thoughts. Is romance,
Hmm.
because I'm a romantic. I like romance. Now, romance does not make a relationship. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like but I feel like it's like the sugar or salt, it just adds flavor and fun. And from my experience, like a lot of women like romance. Men, when they hear that word, there's like certain reactions. So I'm trying to figure out a way to package that where they can maybe be more romantic, but it's not, I don't know, getting them focused on words that don't matter. Because I guess another word maybe for romance is like it makes women feel safe a little bit.
I would say cherished would be the word.
Cherished.
Yeah, definitely. Romance is that higher elevation of a relationship, I think, beyond the day to day. Oh, he took some thought. He was thinking about me. That's romance, really. Anything that's a little intentional, a little bit out of the ordinary. And I can see how that would be scary for guys. I know my husband doesn't do much of the planning of anything, and I had to let that go. I had to let that go and say, yeah, again, that's out of my control. If he's going to be romantic or if he's not. But I'm so thankful that he's willing to come along with me on whatever adventure I plan. And so that's just, we've all got to take ownership of our stuff. And what am I responsible for? That's my attitudes, my actions, my thoughts. I have no control over any of his. And when we learn that, we are going to be so much happier people. So I would think to package romance for a guy, you've got a lot of great ideas with your logical mindset of, like your gold and silver and diamond ideas. But to just kind of, guys, do you have trouble thinking of romantic ideas? Well, here's a done for you thing, to sweep your wife off her feet, to make her feel cherished,
Yeah.
yeah, just to,
And
it,
it's
yeah.
interesting because I have one of the things I'll include sometimes in the spark is I call them thoughtful texts, and sometimes they're romantic, and I've had men say to me, "Oh, these are great. I'd really like to send it." And I'm like, "Oh, did you send
Mm,
it? How did it go?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, why didn't you send it?" And he's like, "Well, because she's going to ask, where did this come from? Because I guess it's not, it's kind of out of character. And so I was like, okay, fair, but here would be my response. Like, if you're a guy and you're sending maybe, more romantic text that's kind of out of character, and your wife or girlfriend's like, hey, like, where's this coming from? You can just be vulnerable and say, hey, like, I've been researching ways to, be more thoughtful towards you, etc. And so I'm trying this stuff because I want to show you how
Yeah.
important you are to me. So that's letting her know. It's like, yeah, I'm trying something new. Like, forgive me if it's not like the perfect wording, but it's like I'm trying to get to a better place to show you that I cherish you.
Yes, I love that. That's a great response for sure. The vulnerability of saying, yeah, I'm learning some stuff. I know I don't do this enough, but I want to get better at it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if I can figure out, some messaging because it's a fun puzzle to think about.
Mm.
And I'll drop. I don't know if you have any male listeners, but if you do, I'll drop an idea. If you want to do something thoughtful, small, easy, but different, which is get either 1 or 12, but fake roses and spray paint them gold.
Mhm.
And then the words are kind of what matters. So you'll say we have one gold rose, and then think about a connection of gold, which is money, wealth, shiny, valuable, and your relationship and her, and just write a thoughtful paragraph or 2 sentences about your love. Off the top of my head is like, oh, your love is worth more to me than gold, which is a little cheesy. So it's like, okay, we got to refine it to make it sound real. But like doing something like that and then leave it for her in her car with the note, or under a pillow or something, or on the pillow before she gets home, something like that. Just a little easy, thoughtful thing to do.
That's excellent. Yeah, I usually close with a question of what's one intentional thing that you would do, to keep your relationship strong. And I think that, that could be one of those intentional things that you do for your partner, your spouse. And I love it. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. I look forward to um, getting the video from you or the audio or both. And thanks again.